Hello, good afternoon, beautiful people. It's your girl Lisa here once again. It's been a while. My throat has been acting up, so bear with me. But thanks be to God, man, I can speak, so that's a plus. I can speak. So you'll hear me. I might be a little low, but I'll try to turn my phone up so that you might hear me. As you can see from the topic that I put up, Doubt Your Doubt, a poet by the name of Joseph Solomon. The first time I listened to that, it blew my mind. He said, why don't you doubt your doubt? And I could really relate to everything he said in that poem. You can check him out on YouTube. I could relate to everything he said in that poem because as a believer, especially when you're new in the faith, you tend to doubt what you hear, doubt what people tell you. And I was reading, and Pastor Stephen J. Cole said that our doubts sometimes are often connected with disappointments. And I could attest to that too, because I remember when certain things would happen and I would hear it, I would doubt what I was hearing because because of past experiences. I was like, okay, whatever, that can't happen. God now said that because of a past experience. And I believe as believers, we all have been there. We all have been there. And doubt your doubt. My topic today is doubt your doubt. Yesterday I was driving to church, left church. Church was over, left, dropped my brother home, and was going back to choir rehearsal. And excuse me. And on the drive, it just came and it started downloading, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And earlier in the morning service, there was a prophecy that was said, and everything my spirit came in agreement with it and confirmed it. And it's like, whoa, Daddy's doing a new thing. Daddy is doing a new thing. And I'm like, wow. I sat down and I was talking to my girlfriend, my friend, my backbone, Tyrese, and I was saying to her, wow, just when I think God can't blow my mind anymore, he does it once again. And and I sat there and I said to her, why do we doubt? And I turned to her and I said, if someone tell you that, what's your name? I asked her what's her name. And she said her name is Tyrese. And I said, okay. So if I come to you and say, no, your name is Mackenzie Brown, do you doubt that your name is Tyrese? She goes, no. And I'm like, why don't you doubt that your name is Tyrese? She said, that's her name. I said, but yet still, I came to you and I said, listen, that's not your name. Your name is Mackenzie Brown. Do you doubt that that's your name? She goes, no. I'm like, then why don't you doubt? Because I know that's my name. Ting, ting, ting. And I'm there and I'm like, then why do we doubt the things that God tells us? Why do we doubt the thing that God tells us? Because if someone can come and say, your name is not Lisa, your name is Mackenzie, and I can have no doubt by saying, that's not my name. My name is Felicia. No doubt whatsoever. None whatsoever. Then why, as believers, do we doubt what God is saying and what God is doing? And I'm like, and I sat there for a while. I was in awe at what came out of my mouth also, because if anyone knows me, they know that I tend to I ask questions. I ask a lot of questions, and I tend to overthink some of the time, and I tend to try to put logical into the spiritual world that I'm a part of now. And as I was there, and I started contemplating, like, Lisa, why do you doubt? Why do you doubt? And then when I realized, it's like fear Doubt and fear goes hand in hand. They're buddies. And fear is not of God. So if fear is not of God, then what do you think doubt is? There you go. And I'm there and I'm sitting, I'm like, oh my gosh. When I ask my questions, it's not that I doubt him. It's just that I need more information. But when I start to question what he tells me, then there's a doubt. If you get what I'm saying, there's a difference with it. And I remember the other day, a few weeks ago, I got Daddy downloaded something in my spirit. And because of my doubt, not doubt in what he was saying, but doubt in myself, doubt in who I am, and doubt in what he has given to me, not what he was saying. Because I believe everything he was saying, but I had doubt in myself that, whoa, Daddy, I think me I can accomplish this. And I started doubting me. I started doubting me, not him. And then it's like, when I started doubting me, then if he's in me, then if he's in me, then I doubt him, and then I don't trust him, right? And I because of that, I lost someone that I really truly care about. And I said, my friend Tyrese, she was saying to me, wow, Lisa, doubt is a thingy. And I started laughing and I said, it definitely is. And I think we always say everything in God is a process. And I am going through a process. We're all going through a process. Once we start to believe who he is, excuse me, once we start to believe who he is, and we take on that belief. And he said, be like a seed that fall on good soil. Okay? So if I'm a seed, a good soil, the word seed, you plant that seed, good soil having all the minerals it needs. You get little fertilizer, get little water, little sunshine, just the amount of things. Get little scripture, get little praise, get everything. And then that tree, it grows up, but there's a process. Because if everyone that did biology or integrated science through grade 7 to 9 or something of that sort, it depends on where you are in the world, they tell you about germination and the seed and all of that. And when the seed goes into the ground, it is in layers. And then that first layer breaks off, and then the other layer, and then the new seed bursts forth. But before the new seed start growing under the earth, before you can see it above the earth. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh. I have doubted so many things that God was telling me, and it all because of fear. I am afraid that it won't work. I am afraid that it will not happen. I am afraid that I am not capable enough of doing it, not knowing that when I start to doubt me, I am doubting God because he's in me. And I'm at awe at how God can use certain situations. And as I was reading, I remember the disciples in Matthew when they were on the boat, and the storm and the wind came and everything, and they said, Master, bear in mind, they had Jesus, the Son of God, laying on the boat, and he was teaching them and everything, and Master, you're gonna let us die, and yada yada yada, as we all do when we were reaching a certain situations. I be one of them sometimes. And he got up and he said, oh, you have little faith. And he commanded the winds to stand still. No doubt, no nothing. Because he knew who he is, who he was, who he serves, who he belongs to. And I'm like, how can I be a Christian? I know who I belong to now. I know who I am now. Then why do I still doubt? Because I know that fear is not of God. And fear and doubt go hand in hand. And if they go hand in hand, then that means then doubt is not of God. And a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, man. So I'm like, oh gosh, Daddy, this is too heavy for me. This is too heavy for me. One thing at a time. And then he's like, one thing at a time? No, I have a purpose for you. And you really need to step up. And at that moment, I realized that I when I took up that mantle, and I remember nights where I prayed and I said, God, listen, I want you. You can take everything in this world from me. I want you. You know the funny thing about that? When I said that, my eyes opened. I for all of you that didn't know, I was engaged a few years ago, 2 years ago, I think, over 2 years ago. I was engaged. I was with my significant other for we had 4 years of relationship, 8 years of friendship. We knew each other before we started dating. And after saying that, oh my word, everything, which is everything, started to happening to me, and I crumbled. I doubt everything God was saying. I doubted, my doubt even the ground when I walk on that time. And it reminded me of when Daddy was on the water and he called him out, called Paul out, and he walked. But as soon as he felt the breeze and the wind, and he looked away, took his eyes off, he started sinking. And I remember my best friend and I, Mishka, we always talk about that. And I'm like, once you, the troubles and the struggles or whatever of this life, you start to focus on it more than how you're focusing on God, you're going to sink. That's when you start to call it a struggle. That's when you start to call it a struggle. Because it's not going to be that to you, it won't be a struggle. Because God gives you a peace that surpasses all understanding, right? So once you're focused on Him, then that storm, that breeze, that wind will not shake you, because you're like, listen, I'm focused on you. It's like running a race. And not because the people over there on your right is saying a lot of bad stuff about you and all the negative things about you, you're going to keep your eye on the race, on the field. As soon as you take your eye off the field, that's when you get set back in the race. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my God. And I remember one night, I said, Daddy, you can take everything. Only thing I want is you. And bear in mind, to me, I lost everything. My relationship with my fiance started to crumble. Friendships started to crumble. I didn't speak to anyone in my house. My health started to crumble. Everything started to crumble. And I'm like, but Daddy, this can't be you, because you want me healthy to serve you. And I realized it wasn't him, it was me. I was so focused on everything else that was crumbling to the point where I made myself sick. I was overthinking to the point where I made myself sick. I had to go, I started feeling pains, tightening pains in my chest, in my stomach. And it was like, I at that time, I lost so much weight. You actually thought, you see me, you think I was sick. And to me, that was okay. Because I used to weigh 115 pounds. Okay? And when I go to 140, I tell myself I was fat. But I still looked the same. But that's another story. And I was okay with my weight, but I realized when I looked in the mirror, it's not the same person that I'm used to. And I said, oh my God, I am making myself sick because I am doubting what Daddy's telling me. And I remember one day I was at work. At that time I was working and I was at work and my chest started tightening up. And I used to get panic attacks and anxiety attacks. If once something is not going my way or the way I thought it would, I start to overthink, then I start to panic, then I have that anxiety, then I can't breathe. And I'm at work and I couldn't breathe. I was overthinking everything. And I felt dizzy and I fell. And this guy there, his name's Mike, he ran over and he's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And he gave me a bag and he said, breathe in it, breathe in it, breathe in. And I'm like, oh. I went to the doctor. That night, my chest would kill me. I went to the doctor the other day. And when I went to the doctor, he said, oh, he's going to send me to do x-ray and this and this and this. They tested my urine. They tested my pressure. They tested everything. Everything was normal. But my my chest was not, and everything was normal, but my chest was not. And I remember he sent me to this ortho, I don't know what they're called, art or whatever, something for my heart, because he says something must be wrong with my heart. And I remember I sat there, and the doctor, the first question he asked me, said, "Hi, my name is so-and-so, so-and-so and so." I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" And he's like, "You have a beautiful smile." I'm like, "Thank you." And he said, "Are you nervous?" I'm like, "No, I'm not nervous. I just want to know what's wrong with me." And he said, "Have you experienced a broken heart recently?" And I sat there and I'm like, what does my broken heart have nothing to do with this right now? And I lied. I wouldn't call it a broken heart. I was disappointed. And I said, I don't think so. I don't think it's a broken heart. And he said, "Have you gone through any stress lately?" And I'm like, stress, that's typical for everyone. And I remember they hooked a lot of things on me, and they put me on a treadmill. All right. First they had me walk. They hit the speed up. I started jogging. Then they hit the speed up. I started running. They hit the speed up. Started racing. My heart went whatever. He's like, "There's nothing wrong with you." No, he said, "Okay." And he's the guy there reading the thing. He's like, "Okay, you're going to come back and we have the results for you. But we're going to, for the meantime, wear this heart monitor." Bruh. I was like, "A heart? What?" I had stuff sticked onto me. And I had to wear it on my pants waist, on my waist, whatever I had on. I had to have the machine on my waist. And if something happened, it will beep. So it records whenever my heart will palpitate or something of that sort, or beat out of the ordinary. That's not normal. And I wore that for a week. Yeah, it was a week. No, 2 weeks. I wore that for 2 weeks. Bear in mind, 2 weeks. I actually thought that something was really wrong with me. And I remember I said, "Daddy, I need my health. I need my health to serve you. Like, what is going on?" And he's like, "It is not me, darling. It is you." And I doubted what he was saying. I was like, "Bruh, it is you. It is not me. I'm not making myself sick." And I remember after the 2 weeks, and I went back and I took the thing off. And I'm like, "Yeah, finally it's off." And the doctor said, "I can't find anything wrong with you." They did an x-ray. They did a scan. They did everything. He's like, "I can't find anything wrong with you." So I'm like, okay. The doctors can't tell me what's wrong with me. Okay, fine. And I sat on my bed one night and I started crying. And when I started crying, I said, "Listen, Daddy, I am nothing without you. I know that now. And if I am making myself sick, show me." And I said before that take everything away from me and I'll focus on you. But yet still, when my relationship failed, friendships failed, and everything failed, I didn't focus on him. I made myself sick. And now looking back, reflecting on that, I'm like, why as believers do we doubt the word of God? Why do we doubt who he says he is? We can doubt man. Man will fail us. But why doubt God? And that pulled me because, like I said, this is something that has affected me personally in so many ways. First it was with my health because I doubted. Now it's with my friend. I lost a friend, someone that I care about, because of doubt. And I'm torn. I'm like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? And I'm looking through and I'm like, it is so something else when you doubt others. But when you start to doubt God, trust me. I'm like, Lisa, you can't call him a personal name. You call him that personal name, daddy, and you're doubting him. Like, what does it say about you and who you are? Do you really believe? And Hebrews, it tells me that without faith it is impossible to please him, and I have to believe in who he says he is. And remember, God's words never go null nor void. Everything God promised excuse me, everything God promised, he ensures it comes to pass. May not be on our timing, but it does come to pass. So why do we doubt him? And I'm like, oh my God, Daddy, like, do not beat me, because I believe. And he's like, you do not believe. Your faith is nowhere where you need it, where I need you to be. And I started crying. I go, listen, I want this more than I want anything else. And I remember I went back and said, listen, take everything from me, and I will cleave on to you. And even as I said that, I'm like, oh my God, it's like a deja vu, because I did this before. And I'm like, Lisa, why are you repeating this when you need to really get, this is a test, this is a lesson. You really need to learn what you need to learn to move on from this, because everything is a lesson. Because like I said, it's a process. The seed goes through a process while it is in the soil. When it comes up, it still goes through the process. It goes through the growing process. Everything is a process. My walk with Christ is a process. My relationship is a process. My friendship is a process. Everything is a process. But I have to apply what I can't use the past to affect how I handle this process right now. And I'm looking and I'm like, Lisa, you have to get doubt away. Once you believe in who God says he is, then there should be no doubt in you. There should be no doubt in you. Because I'm like, Father, if I doubt, then my belief something is off. And I contemplated with myself. And I started warring with myself. Not with anybody else, but with myself. Because I am disappointed in myself at this point. Because I am making myself doubt. But I'm looking at it and I said, whoa. When I start to doubt, I open a door for the enemy to come in, and then he starts to give me fear. Or then there's the fear, then there's the doubt. They travel hand in hand together. You just need one to see the other. And fear is not of God. And I said, Father, please forgive me for doubting, for ever doubting anything you said or anything you're saying to me. I rather move when you say it and know that it is what it is, instead of staying there and in doubt and something happens to anyone at all. And I remember back when after I took the monitor off and the doctor couldn't find anything wrong with me, and I went to church and I cried while I was at church. I was crying. I was bawling my eyes out. Trust me. I remember I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, Daddy, I am making myself sick because I doubt what you have placed in me. I doubt who you say I am. I doubt all of that. And I said, Daddy, my eyes are on you. And when my relationship failed, a lot of things failed with it. The thought of me ever getting married failed with that. It fell with that. Because for me, that was the only person at that time. For me, I was thinking that was the only person that would ever love me, because we were so compatible, to the point where I'm like, whoa, this is weird. But when that failed, I was like, it's either I stand firm on God's word without no doubt, to the point where I called off my wedding a few months before it happened. And I already booked my ticket. And I remember I went home. And I'm there. And bear in mind, I had to see this guy every day, because he lives he lives at my house. And we shared an house together. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have nowhere else to go. And I'm like, okay, I know who God is. I believe in everything, and there's no doubt. And I started, a few family and friends started approaching me, because wedding off and then can't go near free food and get free cake anymore. So everybody want to know what's going on. And I remember everyone, oh, it must be that I found someone. It must be that this, and it must be that. And then here come our little friend doubt. Am I doing the right thing? will I ever get married again? Bear in mind, when I was smaller, when I was younger, I was a tomboy. So marriage was never a thought of mine. It never came across my mind because I'm a tomboy. I don't care. I'm not a princess type. I don't plan my wedding when I was 5. What I wanted to wear. I started wearing spaghetti, strapless blouse, and all them things when I was about 20. Not even 20. 18, I think. And it had to be covered with something else. That's how conservative and tomboyish I was. And the only thing I would wear that is a wife beater. And or my sports bras. And that was because at that time I had 6 packs and I wanted to show them off because I was one of the boys, not because I was like, oh, I want this guy to see me. No, because I was one of the boys. So having a wedding was never a part of my plan. So when this guy came and everything seemed so compatible, I was like, oh my God, there was no doubt. And then when we broke up and everything, and then all of my family approaching me with things and said and blah, 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 the doubt started seeping in, and I took my eyes off what Daddy said and what he was telling me. And I'm like, oh my God, this cycle. When do I end this cycle? When do we stop doubting when what God says? And and I remember last night I was going through some scriptures, and I was going through the Bible, and in Genesis 17, verse 17 to 22, I was reading, it was about Abraham and Sarah. And 17 to, so let's do this, 17 to 22nd. And Abraham fell upon, let's do 16, so you get the understanding. And I will bless her. This is God talking to Abraham now. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. And then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed. Keyword, laughed. And said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. Ishmael is his son before. And God said, Sarah thy wife, shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he begat, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with Abraham, and God went up from Abraham. That was God telling Abraham a thing. You're 100, Sarah's 90, but I'm gonna give you a child. Abraham laughed and said in his heart, how can I have a child at 100? How can she has a child at how she bear a child at 90? She passed the bearing rate for bring forth children. And I as I read this, I'm like, wow. It's been a while since we've been doubting what God has been saying. So let's go to the 17, Genesis 18, 10 to 15, 18, 10 to 15. There we go. And he said, this is God appearing to Abraham again. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, because she was standing at the door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age. Because bear in mind, one was 100 and the other was 90. And it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of a woman. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, shall I pleasure my Lord being old also? And the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard therefore the Lord, at the time appointed, I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. And I'm like, Sarah doubted what God was saying. She doubted that. And as I read the story, I remember my friend said to me, Sarah doubted and nations are still warring or whatever. Now, nations are still warring now. And when he said that broke my heart, because I never wanted to be one to make nations war. That story goes. If you don't know Genesis, you can read it. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot let doubt stop the plans that God have. I cannot let doubt be an hindrance. I cannot let me be an hindrance. And I started to pray hard and say, listen, Daddy, this doubt thing I'm in now work. And I realize it's not just praying it away. I have to ensure my thoughts are always on him. Ensure that what he says, I say, yes, I believe. Do not, when you see a negative thought, you say, I cancel it now. It doesn't even sink in so doubt can come in. It is a process. I had to learn not to just to pray, because I can pray. And if I do not apply, then nothing will happen. And I remember I stopped praying about that. Like, honestly, I stopped praying about it. And I started, as soon as there's a negative thought come up, I go, boom, delete. To the point where now, all I have is no doubt. And to the point, I told my friend Tyrese that this scares me. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot say it scares me, because when it scares me, then I start to doubt, then I start to have fear. So I got excited. I got excited that I no longer doubt what God says. Because he says my sheep knows my voice. And if I know his voice, why would I doubt what I'm getting? Why would I doubt? It is man that put doubts in us after they say certain things to us. Or we put it in ourselves because of past disappointments, past experiences. And I was in awe. Because throughout this time, I was applying everything wrong. I was doing it all wrong. I was trying to pray it away. And doubting Thomas. I said, boy, doubting Thomas, me sound like him in sometimes I sound like him, because man did doubt that Jesus rise up again, eh? So, and I remember when I first became a Christian, I doubted certain things. Like certain stories in the Bible, trust me, I doubted them. I'm being honest. I doubted them. I'm like, really? Bear in mind, I didn't grow up in the church. I didn't get beaten with a Bible. I remember my mom used to force me to go to church. And anybody who know me know say, my screw, me not smile. So when she sent me to church, my face was always like this. For the entire day. You know, when I started smiling, when the benediction is said, I'm out of the door. Yeah. I remember sometimes I would sit outside. That's how annoyed I was of church at that time. Trust me. That was me. And I remember I was about 15 and I went to church and they were singing and something shut up in me and I wanted to say hallelujah and I held it. And I felt like I wanted to cry. You know what I did? I went out of church and I sat outside. Because that feeling left. That was me. So some of the stories in the Bible, I doubted them. I'm like, boy, donkey I talk to people, you know? What? And I wish lifetime that. Man, I see angel, you know? No, you know, this your lifetime. Like seriously, they made these things up. And I doubted some of the words that I read. And I remember after my encounter with the first time I heard God's voice, I knew that was his voice. That's when I started to ask everyone, what does God's voice sound like? What does he sound like? I wanted to know more to ensure that, listen, him this now. And I remember one night after my thing with my fiance, at that time, my ex-fiance, I sat in my room and I said, I love you, Daddy. I love you. And I love my family and I love my friends. But this is too much for me. And I started crying and I said, if you know me crying, I'm my 40. Just playing. And I said, Daddy, I give up. I can't do this anymore. This is too much for me. This is really too much for me. I can't bear this anymore. I can't talk to people whatever is going about what is going on. This is too much for me. And I'm talking to you and you now said nothing. And then I heard him say, I am talking, but you're not listening. And I stopped and I felt this warm embrace and I started bawling. It was like a hug like no other. And I started crying. And that point, the doubt that I had in everything, the doubt that I had in the decision I was making, left. If you should come to me now, today, and ask me if I had doubts when I broke off my engagement, I would say yes. I doubted that I was making the right decision when I said yes. I doubted that I was making the right decision when I broke it off. I doubted after we broke it off, to the point where I went back and said, listen, I know I was the one who called it off and blah, 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 but let's be friends. Let's start fresh. Let's start to date. Show you how strong my doubt was. And I remember he said, are you crazy? Are you this? And he called me a few names. That's fine by me. And I said, thank you, Daddy. And Daddy had to bend me up for me to get it right. Prune me. A good father disciplines his children, especially when they doubt. Because when they doubt who he says they are. They doubt who he is. You can't say you're serving God and doubt. There should be no doubt that comes across your mind, but always remember it's a process. Sarah doubted, Thomas doubted, Zacharias, John the Baptist died, to the point where God mute him because of doubt. And Gideon doubted. And I'm looking and I'm like, I do not want to be like these people. Father, do not let me be like these people. I want to go through my life through serving you with no doubt. And it's not just praying it away, but applying it. And I stopped and I just talked to God and I said, Father, I want to doubt you no more. And the other day, I remember I was on the phone with my friend and I, because we've been having sleepless nights. So once I'm up, I'm going to call her. So we're going to be up together. And I remember we're there and she said, I vowed a vow for you. And I'm like, I can bet what that vow was. And I started laughing. And I said, tell me. And she said, I vowed a vow that you would never doubt. I said, whoa, thank you. I appreciate it. Because doubt gives us comfort. Did you know that doubt gives you comfort? I'm sitting there and I said, boy, no wonder why my long lost friend doubt there for comfort me through this process. But doubt is not there. Doubt gives you process, you know. So comfort. So when doubt gives you the comfort, you know what you do? You stay there. You stay in that comfortable position. Make God ever make you uncomfortable, you have to move. But doubt gives you comfort. And I realized that I was comfortable, very comfortable. Because guess what? It's like a shield. Yeah. Yeah, but we know it no might happen. So you're just chilling out and you get comfortable. Doubt. I say this just to say that, and I share this just to say, do not doubt what God is saying to you. You can ruin a life. You can lose people you love. I've been there. You can lose people you care about. You can get people hurt. There's a lot that comes along with it. Because Zacharias doubt and God just seal up his mouth. And God will make you uncomfortable. But trust the fact that he's making you uncomfortable to bring you to the next stage of where he needs you and wants you to be. Don't let this doubt thing overshadow the voice or or even delete the voice of God, because then that's a problem. And I recently my cry is, I can't even say let me never doubt, because there's none in me anymore. I can only just trust him and know whatever he says, all the promises that he has made to me, that they will come to pass. They will. And the pastor Steve J. Cole said it too. He said we can overcome doubt if we will see that God does what he says he will do. Because that's where the doubts stem from, when we think it's not going to happen. But God does what he says he will do. That's how you overcome doubt. That's how you overcome doubt. So you can come to me and tell me, so my name is Pinky Brewster. And I said, that's nice. But I know without a doubt that my name is Felicia Weatherburn. Thank you. No doubt. Oh, Felicia, you know you're 21? Oh, really? Thank you. I'm flattered. But without a doubt, I know that I'm 28. Without any. And without a doubt, I know who I am in God. I have stepped into that, and I'm walking in that. Because once I know who I am and I believe in everything he says, then there's no holding back. There's no going back. And we have to just learn to keep focus and on him. He said, see first my kingdom and his righteousness, and everything else will be added. But you have to focus on him. No matter, a songwriter said, no matter what storm clouds may rock the ship of mine, or something of that sort. No matter what, once you stay focused on God, you see the storm clouds? You say stop, and them stop. Cease, and it cease. But just always focus. Because once you focus, it's like a horse that is racing and they have the blinders on. There's no doubt in his mind when he look across and say, oh, I made the 5th place, Jesus, peace, me I go come last. They're there. Do not doubt what God says. Do not doubt. God is not a man, so he should lie. He's not a man, so he should lie. Not a man. I'm going to read James 1. I had it here somewhere last night. James 1, verse 5 to 8. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men. This is the King James Version. Ask of God that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering, no doubt. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, being driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of God. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. I can read from the New English Version. James 1, verse 5 to 8. Here. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach. And it will be given him. But let him ask in faith, with no doubting. For one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. And in Hebrews, It says without faith, it is impossible to please him. So if God is telling me that I should ask with faith without doubting, and if he said something to me, I should believe it without doubting, and a man that is doubting is unstable in all his ways, I don't want to be an unstable man. I want to be a stable man so I can fully function in God. I want to be stable, so stable to the point where you can come to me and tell me, say, God tell you, say, and me say to you, say, back up. No, sir. No, ma'am. Excuse me. Praise the Lord. No disrespect. But God tell me, say. And it goes back to, because Christians believe, some Christians believe that God can't, the enemy can't use them to alter another person's belief, to drive that person further away from God. And sorry for throwing this out there, but you can. You can. And I remember a few weeks ago, we met with a few days. You can't in my life. A few days ago. Really, Kim? A few days ago. So my brother was just walking past. Sorry about that. He threw me off. I thought I was home alone. Anyways, a few days ago, I met with a friend, and the thing that he said to me blew my mind, and doubt started sinking in. Bear in mind, I was fine, because I had applied what it is not to doubt, whatever, and I prayed and I applied and I applied it and I read scriptures and I applied, but because this person was at a higher level than I was when I first came into acceptance of who I am and who Christ is, it's getting uncomfortable. I'm gonna get up. I realized that when he said that to me, because he was he was more in it, I would say seasoned, I started questioning whether or not I was hearing the voice of God, because what he was saying to me wasn't what I was getting, and I started questioning, and I remember calling my pastor and I was sharing my encounter, and my pastor he prayed about me being doubt and all of that, and he said old neighborhoods don't visit them anymore. And it's so a coincidence, because a few weeks ago, I remember this lady in my church, she came to me and she said, "Oh, I saw a vision of you," and I'm like, okay, fine. This is a woman I look up to and respected, so I'm like, okay, sure. She said, "You want to hear?" I'm like, after service, she tell me, and during church, she saw me and she said, "You know, your husband is a pastor?" And I'm like, "Oh, really? Nice." And I walked away awkwardly, because I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And after service, she said, oh, and we were there talking, and she said she's gonna share a vision with me. And she started describing this person, the person who she thinks supposedly I'm supposed to marry. And she's like, "Oh, I'm preparing for a wedding." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Whose?" She said, "Mine." So I'm like, "Okay, that's nice." And she said, she started describing him, and she used this pastor, this prophet that we know, as an example of it. The guy's build, weight, height, everything. And she said he was soft-spoken and light-skinned and all of that. And I'm there. And at one point, I was like, I had no clue. And like, she said, oh, so I'm getting excited for that wedding and blah, blah, blah. And she talked about who brought gifts and yada, yada, yada in the vision. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. After she said that, she's like, she can't wait. I'm like, my spirit got upset. And I said, my api fi yan him. And I walked away and I started thinking to myself, why would I say that? Why would my spirit say that, right? And I'm there and I'm talking to God. I'm like, Daddy, what does that mean? I don't understand this thing. And I'm there and then I took it off my mind, whatever. And I remember I was driving home and I had to come back to church for practice for choir rehearsal. And when I'm going back, I'm like, oh my gosh, no way. And I started scratching my head. I felt like I was going to lose it. And I called my girlfriend and I go, oh my God. And she's like, what is the problem? And I said, the person that this lady was describing is my ex-fiance. Like, what the heavens? And she's like, are you serious? And I said, yeah, I am serious. And she said, whoa. And I'm like, it's not whoa. This is ridiculous. That was my reaction. I was like, this is ridiculous. And I'm there and a few weeks ago my friend Tyrese had a vision of me too, and it wasn't a bad one, but the same person was in it. She doesn't, bear in mind, none of them knew who he was or anything. When she told me about it and whatever, and she's describing the person, I said, wait, and I sent her a picture and she said, oh my God, that's the person. And I prayed and I did away with that. Now, yesterday, we're choir rehearsal is going to happen, so we went back to church again. I'm there, no doubt in my mind, you know. This lady came and she pulled me aside and she said, do you know when was the last time have you spoken to this guy? I'm like, I don't see a reason for me to. None. She said, well, you know, if God says this is the man for you, then there's nothing you can do. Me say, yeah. I said, yeah. My facial expression changed. I said, yeah. And she there talking. I walked away with so much doubt because I looked at her as an elder. I walked away with so much doubt because I looked up to her as an elder. Christians in church. Not church today. We were in church when this happened. And I walked away. I remember my spiritual mother. Well, I have a lot of those, but the mother of our church, she was in the kitchen. They were cooking, and because they stayed after, and my pastor was in the office, and I got into the kitchen and I leaned back and I'm there and I said, wow. And my friend said to me, what is wrong? She said, you look like you've been crying for days. And I'm like, I feel like I've been crying for days. And she said, what happened? And I'm like, how can we look up to, I'm like, you look up to people and they put doubt in you. Because bear in mind, I have no doubt in my mind that I made the right decision. None. I can't say, oh, the decision I made was wrong and doubting myself. I have no doubt whatsoever. None. And I tell people that my doubt, when it comes down to that, the reason why I had no doubts is because I have no doubts and I had no doubts is because before my eyes weren't open to certain things that God was showing me. But as soon as I got in and I decided, like, listen, Daddy, are you missing? Boom, boom, boom. I've seen stuff. People wouldn't even believe me when I say I'd go to my bed and wake up with name, number, and if I could get addressed to it, I would. Accurate as ever. And I used to doubt those. And I said, how can you doubt. And I remember when and it's so funny, you know, I remember when she told me that, and after I picked up who it was, what it was, I said to her, just pray for me, cover me, please. And after the conversation yesterday, thank you, Sister Linda, love you too. And I remember after she sent me that message, I said, cover me, please, and pray for me, because, you know, and I sat there yesterday and I just kept shaking my head. And I kept shaking my head. And I said, something happened, the prophecy happened earlier in service. And I held on. I said, Daddy, trust me. If this is for me, you must hate me that much. I know say you not hate me, so. Because your thoughts are always good for me. And I started binding doubt, man. And I started binding everyone that comes to me with things that will put doubt in my spirit. Because you have to learn to do that. And because I out of respect for this lady, I did not stop her. And I should have. I should have stopped her and said, listen, God says that is not for me. And I believe that. So you can go and check with him again. Because whatever you say to me right now go change. Because I know what God tells me. I should have checked that in the spirit. I should have clocked her right then, but I didn't, because out of respect. They said to use wisdom. But yet still, I didn't even use wisdom. I didn't use nothing, because I'm looking at myself, and I sat there and I took what she said, because she's seasoned, you know, she's an elder. And I took what she said, and that I could, trust me, I could feel the doubt to the point when I stopped and I said, Daddy, you must hate me. You must hate me that much. And my friend started umming, and I know when she starts umming, and I walked out of the kitchen and I sat in the sanctuary, and I'm there, and I turned to her and I said, why do we doubt? That's how the conversation came up. And I told her what I got in the car when we were coming back. And I said, the prophecy that came across today, the word that came across today, it was for this. God was preparing me for this, because he knew this lady would come to me and say this. He knew. And earlier he said that you're supposed to know that I am God, regardless of anybody's opinion. You're supposed to know who I am. Do not turn away from me. You're not your own God. Know who I am. Trust in who I am. Believe in who I am, regardless of what you're feeling or going through. And only one eye water could have come, and it came, and it come like the well dry up. I'm so thank you, Jesus. Christians, you're supposed to learn that everything we get is for a reason. We get dreams for a reason. We get visions for a reason. Please, you're not exempt from the enemy using you. Yeah? Especially when certain things you don't know the entirety of it. So I implore you, seek God faith. If she had sought God for that that vision she said she had, then we wouldn't have had that conversation yesterday, and she wouldn't have made doubt crept in. And I remember when I got home, I was saying to my friend, I said, Tyrese, bruh, God, because I was always one to look for seek confirmation. If God says something, I seek confirmation. And he told me, like, listen, you see that doubt thing there? Your one-time best friend? Because of that thing, here's what I'm going to do to you. No confirmation. Once me say it, is either you do it, because you're supposed to, my sheep knows my voice. Yeah? So once me say it, you're supposed to do it. Me not give you no confirmation. Because when you are sitting down and wait for confirmation, the doubt seeps in. So might as well, when you hear my voice, you do what you have to do, no doubt. And I said to her, wow. wow, it all goes back to knowing God's voice and knowing what he says to you and believing is the promises he has for you. Because I believe in everything that God has for me. There's no doubt about it. But I can't say that there wasn't times where I was sitting in my couch or laying in my bed and think something happened and doubt don't seep in. And when I realized that doubt never did him a comfort wasn't there, I tried to panic, but the panic wouldn't even come either. And I said, Father, how? And my girlfriend would say, stop ask how. Daddy, I make you uncomfortable, so you move when himself will move. No doubt. And I believe in who God is. There's no doubt in me that he can move mountains, that I can speak and my mountains move, but it takes my faith also. And I have to believe in who he says I am and who he says he is. And I yearn for that more and more each day, because it's a principle, it's a process. And I tell everyone that I decree and declare victory through my process. I can't declare defeat. No, I decree and declare victory through my process. So I will be victorious through this process, because God has already won everything. It's like Pastor Justice once says, listen, all you kill up yourself about things that is going on, this is a rerun. It's like me watching Bold and the Beautiful when it first started in 19 long. Reruns. I knew. It's like God is sitting there and he's like, okay, I know what's gonna happen. Like, really, why are you stressing about that? Me already do that for you, Mary, whatever. That's why we have deja vus, some of us. We're like, oh, this happened to me already. Of course, the spirit man already got through it. Your body just a catch up. So it all goes back to knowing who we are in God, knowing his voice. It's not everyone that you look up to as elder approach things the way God would want them to approach it, but it's all a process. You really need to know how to discern certain things. You really know who God is and what God tells you and what he says about you, what the Bible says about you, what the word says about you, you know, and stay focused on that. So when people come to you, they no doubt can sink in, you know, there's no doubt that can sink in. And I remember, I made some vows. I vowed some vows. And I remember when I started reading over the vows that I made, because I remember the prophet, this prophet that visited our church, he said, make a vow that God cannot refuse. And I made some vows, and I started laughing at when I read my vow. And I called my girlfriend, and she's talking, and I'm like, did you see what I wrote? And she's like, no, because we weren't even sitting in the same place. I'm like, then why are you telling me my vow? And she started laughing, and she said, Daddy has a sense of humor. And then I went to bed. Not even went to bed, but lay down in my bed, and I couldn't sleep. And I started reflecting. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these things were things God had promised me. That is true. My stepmother just said, not because someone is an elder doesn't necessarily mean they hear from God, which is true, which is so true. I'm throughout this process, I am learning that. and I remember a friend, which is true, JJ, not a friend, not of God of confusion. And I remember a friend said to me, I know what I have in me, but yet still I wait for a man's confirmation. Not knowing that, then again, that's an whole other thing. But it just goes back to knowing who God says. And I said, oh my gosh, these were things that God promised me. These were things when I just started reading the Bible. I said, oh, really? God promised me all of this. And a few years later, I wrote them down as a vow, some vows, some heavy stuff. And I'm like, really, Daddy? This is what is going on? And yesterday, I got home and I shook my head And I said, thank you, God, for not having a heart like humans, not having, love you too, not having a heart like us human, you know, where people say or do certain things to cause us to be in certain situations, and we start to chastise them, we start to kill them. That wasn't me. I came home last night and I prayed for her. I said, Daddy, I pray for her, because she had that vision for a reason. She had that vision because God do nothing by coincidence. It's a purpose. There's a reason for it. I'm like, you had that. You're elder. I look at you as a mother, and you got that for a reason, to cover me. Instead, when I got what it really meant, and I gave it to you, and I told you to cover me. I did. I said, pray for me, cover me. Because for the past few weeks, a lot of people have been having visions like that, and it's never a good, it always seems like it's good, but as soon, if you had prolonged whatever, you would see that the attacks come. I'm like, cover me, please. Something is going on. And from the conversation yesterday, it just shows that she didn't. And then I have to say, you would have to take that up with God, because God gave you an assignment, and I don't even know what you did with that one. Not saying she can't still cover me, but you have to still deal with that, because she said on that it's another whole other thing where she had make doubt seep into me. But then I had to sit and say, God, I know who you are. I know your voice. I seek only after you. I only seek your approval. I don't care what anyone else think about me. I really don't. I always tell them that. That is the reason why I'm so outspoken. I don't care what you think about me. I do not care what you say about me. I care zero. The only person that I crave from is from God. I crave that from God. I'm like a God groupie, if you get what I'm saying. I crave that. That is who I am. So when you think that I need your approval for something, I really don't. I needed confirmation. But when God saw that you through, because I'm seeking confirmation from outside sources, and there is not, what they're saying is not what he says about me, and that doubt started to seek in, he shut that down and said to me, said, daughter, listen, you know my voice, you know what I sound like, so when I tell you to do a thing, don't look for confirmation from others, because they will try to hinder, the enemy will use them to try to hinder what I want you to do. And I had to sit, last night I sat, and it just keep running through my mind. And I remember I called my friend and I said, girl, no, it's okay. And I said, girl, listen, this is something else. This thought of doubt is just seeping in, like, and he's blowing my mind with it to the point where I can't doubt anymore. And I said, and she said, doubt is a thing, you know. And I laughed, and I said, doubt has caused me to lose someone I cared about. He's no longer speaking to me because of that. And I said, Daddy, if it's your will, that is fine. It is okay if it's your will. Okay, because I only cleave on to you at this moment. At this time, I believe when 3.5 years ago, when I said, I'm only looking at you. You can take everything in this life from me. As long as I have you, I am okay. And I have learned that. The dream that I had for myself, the thought that I had, the thing that I wanted to become, I had to say, listen, when Daddy give me what him want, me have to look at what him want and look at what me want and say, okay, I'm doing it your way. Akeem, it's okay. I'm like, I'm doing it your way. So if anything you say, that is what I'm doing. Not what me say or what I think. And then it goes back to all Like them when them say the Bible is a roadmap, it definitely is, you know. It definitely is. Lean not unto your own understanding, man. Lean not. No, it was here. It was here. Lean not unto your own understanding. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I used to lean so much on my own understanding till I started having a panic attacks, all kind of attacks. And now, none. But say this and that and everything. Do not let, because you think someone is higher than you, or been in, not even higher, because they're not higher than you. If you think, not because you think they're seasoned in Christ, that doesn't necessarily mean that they know the voice of God more than you do. Their ideology can be totally different. Trust me. Like, seriously, I have yes. For last week alone, it's like that is just a reveal, and and he's saying to me, listen, daughter, you cannot doubt anymore. I can't afford the gifts, what I have for you. I can't afford for you to doubt. So here what me I go do? I go reveal where every doubt can do, and where every doubt can come from. So I shut that down. So when the big thing come, the big test come, or the little thing after this come, or the extravagant thing that come after this, there's no doubt in your mind. When I say move, you move. And when I say make that decision, and when I give you a decision to make, there's no doubt in your mind that it was me who give you that word. It was me who made you, said, listen, that decision is from God. And if you don't like it, take it up with God. No doubt in your mind. Young Christians, I might not have a lot on my page, but young Christians, do not let, because you look up to someone or think that they're in another place because they have been in Christ for so long, that you think that them are hear from God more than you're a hear from God. I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. I have been there. And God, I shut down all of that. I say I don't know the voice of God, but I'm saying to myself, then if this person is been serving God for this long, and this person has had this much years of experience and all of this with Christ, me as a youngin, then obviously my what I'm getting is not of God. What I'm getting, I start to doubt it, not knowing that God that speak to me and not them. And I had to come into that frame of mind to say, listen, it doesn't matter who that person is. Once daddy say, I saw. If daddy say, a goal. If daddy say, a red. If daddy say, a blue. If that person come and say, daddy say, orange, just say, daddy tell me red, and me I gonna say red, and I'm gonna stick to red until daddy come along, and daddy come and say to Mr. Lisa, no red, and not red. Not because of anything, not because that person is in it before you. Do not let them let doubt and fear take you over, so that you fall from the will of what God wants for you, the purpose that God has for your life. And I love you too, JJ. I will. Do not let no one do that to you. I have been there. And it has cost me. I think it might have cost me a few friendships, but it has cost me relationship, and I'm fine. It has cost me to dig deeper in God, and I'm okay with that. I tell everyone that, and a lot of people that know me would say, boy, Lisa, you're so laid back when it comes on to certain things. I'm like, for me, I personally have lost things that I have held dear to me, and the only thing I can say to myself is, if it's God will. But when I start to be the problem, then that's the problem. When I start to doubt who God says I am and doubt who He is, then that's a problem. That is a problem. And when I start to let all, because the enemy knows that I seek not, I wouldn't say approval, but confirmation, because me not care what nobody else want to think about me, but confirmation to what I get. Confirmation. He knows that. Because there's people, an angel is assigned to me and an enemy is assigned to me to watch me from I was a babe. So he knows everything. And he knows that I seek the confirmation. So you know what him do? Him send even Christians, seasoned Christians, with that thing. And that makes me doubt. Yes, my stepmother said, Jesus is your best friend. Trust me, he passed my best friend, I know. Trust me. Like, he's past my best friend. But, and, I throughout last week, that's where I was. There, I was torn. Because I was like, oh my God. And I remember my friend said to me, you know what God has put in you, what as he has placed in you. You know who you are, but yet still you wait for man to tell you this. And I'm like, wow. And yesterday I realized that those words were so true. I didn't wait on man to tell me who I am, but just to confirm what I was hearing, because I'm saying, on a season, me not that season, my mother never used to beat me with no Bible. Me used to come out of church and stung out a door. You know, when phone mother make sure someone have to sit on a front bench and granny a pinch, if you never job asleep. Nah. I was outside sitting, waiting for church to be over. That was me. So so I'm like, okay, them people are in a long time, they must have the secret remedy. They must know something that I don't know. So if them say God said, then God must say. And when me say, it's just from my imagination. And I realized Daddy affair work, he worked hard, he whooped me a few times for that. And I came into realization and understanding that not because a person is seasoned or I thought that person was higher than me, that doesn't mean God is not speaking to me. God speaks to all of us. It's just for us to listen. And I was listening, but when God realized that I waited on confirmation, then that's a problem too, because confirmation can be an hindrance. So because I'm going to sit 3 years waiting for a confirmation, I'm not going to do what God says I'm supposed to do. So God says, listen, no confirmation. You know my voice. Move when I tell you to move. Do what I say you should do, and there won't be a problem. No doubt. You don't need no third party. Just me and you. No third party. Me and you. No third party. And I learned to accept that. So as young adults, as young Christians, do not let I'm not saying they shouldn't give advice. Older, of course, I go to my pastor for everything. I go to my first lady for everything. I have some spiritual mothers in my church where, boy, I may tell you, them annoyed with me. And they laugh. Sorry. And they laugh when I say certain things, because they know this is who I am. And when I come to them, they say, Jesus, peace, you again. And they laugh and say, okay, where you are now? And we have a heart-to-heart discussion and what have you, and they give me their advice, and they will say to me, but seek God and hear what he's telling you, because he's always talking. And and I realize that the enemy knows the relationship I want to have with Christ, so he makes it become like he use people that I will go to as hindrance. So that's why I remember when my pastor used to always say to me, you can't have that much friends. First of all, I don't have that much friends anyways. I'm sorry, I really don't. I have acquaintances, not that much friends. And when you say you can't have that much friends and you can't go certain places and you can't do certain things, I'm like, yeah, pastor, you don't know so well. Okay, you're old, like you tell me that and blah, blah, blah. And then when I realize it's true, and yesterday he said the same thing again to me, and I'm like, I'm just shaking my head. I'm like, thank you. I am not my own anymore. So I can't act like I'm my own anymore. And I love God, and everybody that knows me know that. Once I remember this guy after my I have some crazy stories. I remember this guy I was seeing after we saw each other for like 6 months after I broke off my engagement and we broke up and blah blah blah. I was seeing this guy for like 6 months, I think, and I remember we started talking because he was his openness and his ideology of God and everything of God, was his perspective of God, and I'm like, whoa, yes man, no religion, no nothing, yes. And we would talk for a night, on late nights and everything. And I remember one morning we went out for breakfast, and we're in Timmy's, and we're there, and I'm like, excuse me, and I'm there, and he's like, oh, so we're talking, and he got quiet. He got very quiet. And I used to be in the talky one, like, me chat enough. I'm used to being that one. So I'm there talking, and I realized he got extremely quiet. And I said, who are you? And he started laughing. Oh boy, trust me. I'm there now like, okay, what is this? What did I just step into? And we got up and we went to the car. I had my tea, French vanilla, my favorite. If you want to catch me, French vanilla, chocolate, and ice cream. That's my thing. And we went to the car because he came and got me from my house. And we got to the car and we sat there, and I looked at him and he looked at me. And I said, who are you? And he started laughing. And I said, how many of you are there? And he said, you're too smart for your own good. I see why they ate you. Me nah no clue who my talk hate me, you know. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, bruh, what? But I don't know. My best friend that says, my friend that says spiritual and Kiki. And I said, how many are there? And he said, you're too smart for your own good. I see why they don't like you. But 2. I said, okay, 2. And I said, you know it does not belong to you, it belongs to God. And this boy started laughing. And I started laughing. And he started laughing. And I held my head. And same time, I got this headache. And I said, it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to God. And I was about to go into it, him start laugh even more. I'm like, oh my God, this man is making a mockery of me. Oh jeez. Oh jeez, what do I do? What do I do? Then I went, what would pastor do? Oh my gosh. Sorry, it's extreme. When you go through certain experiences, knowing that God is preparing you for something, trust me, them turn joke after a while. And I sat there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't say take me home, because this guy's just staring at me, laughing hysterically. I'm saying, he's not yours, he's God. And then he said to me, and then when the facial expression let me knew that the guy was back. It was no longer the demons that were inside him that was speaking. And I said to him, he said to me, promise me that. He mentioned a name. He called them by their names. He said, I think he said he had them from he was a child. So he named them Loki and Thor. You know, Thor is big and Loki is like the little jokester one. He said the one that you met was Loki. He's funny. He's not really, he won't harm you. But if Thor should ever come out, promise me you will run. Me stung that look on this boy like him crazy. I'm like, boy, it's like I was in a Twilight movie. I was like, are you crazy? I'm like, huh? And then I'm like, you know who you are. You're a child of God. Nothing should surprise you. Snap out of it. I'm giving myself talks, yeah? And I said, Daddy, what am I gonna do? What am I supposed to do? And he said, I am sorry you had to see this. But why did you ask me who am I? I'm like, I don't know, it just came out. And he snapped back and he said, you know, he said, you know, you're black. I'm like, of course I know I'm black. I don't really like black girls. I just sat there, I'm like, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna take you home. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. On the ride, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. And he said to me, your loyalty and love is what's gonna get you killed. Why are you so loyal to God? Why do you love God so much? It's gonna get you killed. I didn't know what to say. I said, he made me this way. Why? How can I not love him? How can I not be loyal to someone that will never hurt me? How can I not? I can't see any reason for me not to love him. And the guy, he got angry. And he said, that's definitely what's gonna get you killed. I've never met a Christian like you. Where did you get that heart from? I'm like, I started stuttering. I'm like, God gave me. I don't know what to say. And he said to me, don't you want to know why we ate you? And I'm like, we who? And he's like, you do know this is not excellent. So he called the guy name that you're talking to, right? I'm like, I know. Your accents are different. Your posture is different. I know the difference. He's like, I tell you, I see why they ate you, because you're too smart for your own good. Because I've been around people all my life that knows me since I whatever, and they never pick up all of that. And you've just been around me for a few hours and you picked that up. I'm like, Daddy want me to see something, so I'm seeing what he's showing me. And he said to me, you really don't want to know the reason why we ate you? And I said, no, I don't care. I'm like, I get that I'm a Christian and I believe in God. That is the reason why the enemy hates me. And he said, if only you knew, that is not it. That is one of the reasons. And when he dropped me off at my house, when I opened that door and closed it, I didn't look back. I was straight in, straight home, everything. And I remember I came home and I sat down, and then the doubt came in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Daddy, yo, this can't be real. And I doubted everything. I doubt that God really loves me. I doubt that I love God. I doubt that, am I serving God right? I doubt that day. And I remember I went to bed and I had this dream, and in the dream it was like I was having this conversation with this elderly man, and the way he's talking to me, it was like he's canceling every doubt. He's canceling every doubt that I had. And I woke up the morning and I said, Daddy, please forgive me for ever doubting anything you have ever said to me or over my life. And now I sit here, I'm not standing, I sit here to say, do not doubt what God has said to you, is saying to you, what he has said over your life. Because God is the only person, the only individual, the only being that will never disappoint you, and his thoughts are always good for you. He's the only one that will not go back on a promise. Trust me, believe that. Believe that. Let's test out the theory. It's not even a theory, the fact. How many of us has made promises to people that we didn't keep? How many of us has doubted certain things, and when after you say, boy, I shouldn't doubt that. I am a proud example of that. I would do exams, right? And before my exams, I would sit and I rest my hand on my paper. I study and I rest my hand on my paper, and while everyone else started scribbling, I rest my hand on my paper and I say, God, you and I, you promised me that if I come to school and do this course, because this is not the course I wanted to do, you'd bring, there's something you need me to do, and I need this certificate to get there. So you wanted me to do this course, and here I'm sitting in this exam. Help me remember everything that I have studied. Everything. Oh, my battery's about to die. Everything that I have studied. And when I said that, bear in mind that when I said that, and I sat there and I go through my paper, and I remember one exam I did, the answer was right there. Holy Spirit, give me the answer there. God gave me that answer, and I doubted what he told me. And when the teacher gave me back the paper, before I turned it over, I put it to my friends, and I said, I can tell you the ones I got right because I doubted. And they said, what you mean? I said, I second guessed it, but me not call it second guess. I doubted, because God gave me the answers, and I doubted. And she flipped my paper, and she said, okay, go ahead. And when I told her, she said, like, seriously? I'm like, yes. Yes. So do not, even in the little things, a little thing like a test, not really a little thing, it's a big thing when you're in a college and you really need to pass your course, but like a test and an exam, that's a little thing. What me call big thing is things for the kingdom. That's big things. But that little thing is a test. A little thing such as a test is a test. To test you, how much can God trust you? How much can he give you so you don't have that doubt? How far away is doubt from your mind? What things trigger your doubt? Everything. Because the enemy knows all of these, you know. He knows all of these strategies. But it's for you to apply, to read and get deep in the word. And I say this to say, don't let because someone, you feel that someone is in church for so long, as my beautiful sister Linda would say, as she said on this, people could be in church all their life and do not have a relationship with Jesus. If you know the relationship that you have with God and you know God's voice, don't let nobody put that doubt in you. No one. I am passionate about this because I have let doubt cause things that I know God had given to me and ordained for me to slip out of my hands because of doubt. But right now I'm sitting here, no doubt in my mind that everything that God has for my life shall come to pass. No doubt whatsoever. And I pray for everyone that I have hurt in my life. I have prayed for everyone that has hurt me in my life. And because I refuse to let and I say this all the time, I refuse to let anyone let me not get into heaven. I refuse that. I refuse to let anyone stop me from seeing my Father's face, to having that relationship with him. And I love God more than I love anything or anyone on this earth. I love all of y'all, but no above God for me. Trust me. That's how I value my relationship with God. And this doubt, I am passionate about the doubt thing because I have been there. May have doubt, may have anxiety attack and all of these attacks. Yes, JJ, I read that before. The doubt is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed back and forth by the wind. By the wind. And I refuse to be an unstable man. I refuse to be that person that is being tossed back and forth. Murder, stand up and say, wind, be still, because God has given me that authority and that power, and I know who he is. And to you, to all of you, my question is, why do you doubt? If you're a believer, why do you doubt? If you know the voice of God, why do we doubt? And I can't forget when I listened to that poem, and Joseph Solomon said, doubt your doubts. When your doubt come to you, doubt the doubt. Why don't you doubt the doubt when it come to you? Why don't we doubt the doubt when it comes to us? That is my question. Nothing at all, stepmother. Nothing at all a double-minded man get. Why don't we doubt our doubts? If we know who God is, when doubt come on, we cannot doubt the doubt. But saying this, saying that, get deeper in God, strengthen your relationship so that there is no doubt in your mind. Because I can stand up in a school full of Sikhs, Muslims, everything, and say, I serve the one true living God, the great I am that I am. The one man, the one God whose thoughts is always good for me, never evil. No, nothing you can tell me right now can put a doubt in my mind who he says he is. That's where I'm at. So why don't we as believers doubt our doubts? Why we doubt the one person whose words always come to pass, whose thoughts for us are always good, who knew us before we conceived in our mother's womb, and all these good things, who the one person who always say, oh, listen, evil shall not befall you nor trouble. You understand when me come near you and all these other things? He's the one who said that, you know. So why don't we doubt our doubts? Why do we hold on as believers? We start doubt God instead of doubting our doubts. Think about it. Yeah? Think about it. Think about it. A lot of we have people in the Old Testament and New Testament that has doubted God, and he got more drastic in the New Testament when him mute people. But like I said, why don't we doubt our doubts? Why do we doubt God? Why don't we doubt our doubts? I have no doubt in me who God is. I have no doubt in me who God says I am. I have no doubt in me the ministry that God called me to be in. I have no doubt in me who my husband will and shall be. I have no doubt in me where my children shall be. I have no doubt in me where I am going, none whatsoever, because I know who God is and I trust in him. So wherever he leads, I will follow. Wherever he leads, I will follow without a doubt. Doubt your doubts. My message to you today is, my question first is, why don't we doubt our doubts? And then my statement to you is, doubt your doubt. When your doubt comes, doubt it. And if that doubt persistent, dig in the word. See all the promises that God made for said about you and over your life. We're royal priesthood. What is wrong with you? A chosen generation. And he also says many are called, but few are chosen. So come on, doubt your doubts. Do not let doubt stop you from what God has for your life. Do not let doubt stop you from doing what God wants you to do. That will cost a life. It will cost your relationship with him. So doubt your doubts. Do not let doubt make you doubt God, but doubt your doubts. Doubt your doubts. Try it. Doubt your doubt. When your doubt come, doubt it. When your doubt come, doubt it. Because doubt and fear travel hand in hand. They're best friends. And fear is not of God. And God says, without faith is it impossible to please him. And you have to believe. Because when you start doubt, you're not believing. You know? Doubt minus your belief. So here what you do. Doubt your doubt. Doubt your doubts. That is what I'm leaving you with today. Doubt your doubts. Jesus. Doubt your doubts. Doubt your doubt. Don't doubt what God says. If you know God's voice and you when he says, my sheep knows my voice. You know, when your mother come home and she said, Lisa, or whoever you are, your answer, because you know your mother's voice. There's no doubt that's your mother. There's no doubt that's your mother. No doubt whatsoever. So you move. If she call you, you move. You move because you know so that's your mother. If your mother said, mother come in, my mommy coming right now. I said, Lisa, bring the knife come. Or bring a chair come. There's no doubt in my mind. That is my mother, so whatever she said, me I do, me I move. But if I doubted that was my mother, instead of doing what she tells me, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna check. Doubt. But doubt your doubts. Do not let your doubt. Do not let doubt come in and let you doubt what God says and what He's telling you to do. Doubt your doubt. Doubt your doubt. And when anyone come up to you and what they're telling you contradicts what God is saying to you, or trying to make you get that little sense of confusion, and God is not a God of confusion. You shut them down right there. You don't go home with it. You don't let that seep in your spirit and make doubt come out. You shut that down. Because a lot of seasoned Christians are in church and don't know the voice of God, don't have that relationship with God. So not because you're young, do not make that stop you. Fear is not of God. Fear is not of God. Fear is not of God. So doubt your doubts. Doubt your doubts. Do not let anyone or anything make you doubt what God says and who He says He is and what He has for your life. I have been there. I have been there, and everything, like I said, the Bible is a roadmap. I remember the prophet said, like, listen, if you pray for me and you're not pray the word, stop pray. Pray the word. And if you go off in the tongues over me, please come out in with the word. And if you're prophesying over my life, prophesy with the word. It's all there. It's a roadmap. Trust me, it's all there. It's all there. Like I said, doubt your doubts. Do not be an unstable man in the sight of the Father. Do not. Being tossed back and forth. Unstable. Do not. Doubt your doubts. Doubt your doubts. I have learned to doubt my doubts. And trust me, you'll all be along for this process with me. I'll make my videos now and then when the Lord leads me, and you'll be here on the journey with me to see that God is a God that never fails. He's a God that is so understanding, and He gives us grace and He gives us mercy, you know. But we must learn to understand and believe and trust in who He says He is and what He's doing with us and through us. Doubt your doubt. I bless all of you for watching. Thank you for watching. If you feel like you know someone that needs to hear this message, then share the message. Go ahead, fine. That's fine by me. But doubt your doubts. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking your time out, for the comments, for interacting with me. Thank you. But remember, doubt your doubts. Do not doubt God, but doubt your doubts. This is Lisa. Enjoy the rest of your day. I pray that you all be blessed and have a wonderful week. Saturday coming, it's my church fundraising rally. 129 East Drive, Brampton, Ontario. All of you in the Brampton, Mississauga, once you're in Canada, please do visit. If you want to experience God like you've never experienced Him before, you can always come and be a part of that experience. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be like none other. You can invite your entire household. You can bring your entire workplace. You all are welcome. All are welcome. All are welcome in the house of the Lord, in the kingdom of the God. You just welcome, and experience God like you've never experienced Him before. This Saturday, November the 18th, 2017. Liberty All Deliverance Center, 129 East Drive, Brampton, Ontario. We do kingdom business. Come and experience God like you've never experienced Him before, through song, through dances, through poetry. Just come and be in the house of the Lord and fellowship with us. It's gonna be like no other. I'm gonna stream it live, but for those who are not in Canada and all of that. But once you're in Canada, I implore you, I invite you, come on, experience God. Come and hang with me for a few hours. 129 East Drive, Brampton, Ontario, Liberty All Deliverance Center. It starts at 6:30 p.m. sharp. So come on, I invite you out to experience God like you've never experienced Him before. And like I said before, thank you guys for watching. Doubt your doubts. Do not doubt the word of God, but doubt your doubts. Thank you. Do enjoy the rest of your day. I love you. I love you. I love you. Peace.